My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, if you remember, for the past month or so, we've been talking about performance, we've been talking about potential, basically talking about how you can be your best you. We, as a community, should want that each of us live up to our potential and are successful. As individuals, we should want that for each other. I personally want to see each of you live up to your potential and to be successful in your life, at home, at work, wherever you may be. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you with success. And not just to be good, but to be great. Trying to live up to that potential, we've discussed a number of important topics: mental health, diet, exercise, and how they can either help or harm our performance. So today I want to add to that conversation with just 2 points, very powerful points that have an impact on performance and success. The first of those is appearance. Your appearance. You may be thinking, what does my appearance have to do with my performance? So I want to share a couple of results from numerous studies. August 2015 in Social Psychology and Personality Science, this was a paper published. They asked subjects to change into formal or casual clothing before cognitive tests. They're going to wear formal attire, business attire, or they're going to wear casual clothes, what you would wear on the weekend. Wearing formal business attire increased abstract thinking. These were the results of their test. It increased their abstract thinking, an important aspect of creativity and long-term strategizing. That's formal clothing. Informal clothing, you're wearing sweats, you're hanging out, you're wearing a t-shirt. There's always a time and place for that stuff. In a study reported in December of 2014 in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, general male subjects wore their usual clothes, their comfort clothes, or they were placed in suits. So they either had the suits on or they had the sweats on. Then they engaged in a game that involved negotiating with a partner. They engaged in a simulation of negotiating with someone else. The findings are quite interesting. Those who dressed up, who were dressed formally or professionally, obtained more profitable deals than others. Those that dressed down also were noted to have a lower level of testosterone in the middle of their testing. Formal versus informal appearance, clothing. How about purpose-driven, specific uniforms? How does that have an impact on your performance? Research published in July 2012 in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, subjects made half as many mistakes on attention-demanding tasks when wearing a white lab coat. The white lab coat we associate with doctors and medical professionals, lab operators, scientists running experiments. They put people in lab coats, ran them through exercises, and found that they made half as many mistakes than those that were not wearing such attire. Purpose-driven attire We see it all around us. Police officers, they wear uniforms. Firefighters, they have uniform. Doctors have certain uniforms. And in your job, in your field, there may be a required uniform. Some of us send our kids to school and we dress them in uniform because appearance is powerful. It has an impact. It has an impact on performance. Also, think about color. Believe it or not, color is important. The color that you wear, that you choose to wear. The inspiration of this study was the 2004 Olympics. 2004 Olympics, where combat fighters, they found the trend that they would wear red or blue. And so, based on the fact that those that were wearing red were found to have won more matches than those wearing blue, they held a study. Journal of Sport and Exercise Psychology. They took 28 males of similar size and age and athletic ability, and they competed one against the other. Said while wearing a red jersey and again while wearing a blue. So each of these subjects, they wore a red and then they wore a blue. And it was found that when they were wearing the color red, they were able to lift more weight and their heart rate was elevated during their matches. It might not have had an impact on their results, winning or losing, but it did have an impact on them, perhaps psychologically so, or emotionally. You can find that throughout the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Appearance was important. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of course, clothing and attire, generally speaking, is permissible, whatever it may be. There are restrictions to it, however. Types of clothing, the amount of coverage it provides the body, and even colors were considered by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There were several colors that he prohibited his followers from wearing, perhaps due to certain connotations associated with those colors or certain effects. Our appearance is important, and it is a factor that we should consider. Dr. Margaret King, director of the Center for Cultural Studies and Analysis, this is a think tank that studies human behavior, including both gender and appearance issues, says that she hears from employers constantly that candidates for a job, those that are applying for a job, and if you're out there in the job market, you're spreading your resume trying to get interviews, and also more importantly, those that if they land the job, the complaint is that people don't give enough consideration to how they appear in the interview and on the job. They don't consider how their appearance affects their performance. She says that appearance is always a factor in primate hierarchy. Who's the boss? Who's the underling? We often create in our minds, or we have associated in our minds, certain appearances with certain roles. Happens in the internal mind mapping of people and with prestige. She goes on and says there are a number of human factors involved in people perception, how you perceive others. Those things are like age, gender, status. Some things you can't change, they're out of your control. However, some things are within reach and can improve your performance, help you live up to your potential. Things like grooming and personal style and appearance. People will perceive you how they see you. First impressions are very powerful. The science is there. The studies are there. These are just 4 studies. 4 studies that show the power of performance as it pertains to the power of appearance as it pertains to performance. There is a definite correlation between the two, and so it should warrant our consideration. Regardless of what we're doing, there is an appearance, there is a uniform, if you will, for it. You don't go to a job interview walking out of the gym and you didn't change. You're still wearing your gym clothes. Tank top, shorts. Show up in a job interview and expect to land the job? It's a rarity. This is not something new. This concept, this is not something new. The correlation between these two things, appearance and performance, but our tradition has addressed this very thing in some detail, in fact. If you look in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Ya bani Adam, khudhu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. O children of Adam, mankind, adorn yourselves. Adorn yourselves when you enter the masjid. Wear appropriate attire, that which covers you properly and is also suitable for what you're about to do. You're going to pray. You're not going to play. So if you show up for prayer in your compression pants that you're going to ride your bike in or lift weights, it's going to have an effect on you psychologically. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to adorn ourselves appropriately when we enter the masjid for prayer. The reality is that what we wear, how we appear, often reflects our inner attitude. Negatively or positively. When we dress well, we often feel better about ourselves. When we dress well, we are often more confident. We have more trust in our abilities. And therefore, we act a certain way. When we want to stand attentively in prayer, we should adorn ourselves in an appropriate manner. When we want to perform at the job or at home or in our communities, we should present ourselves that reflects that winning attitude. One of the great Imams of the past, Shaykh al-Islam, he says, الْعَمَلُ لَهُ أَثَرٌ فِي الْقَلْبِ. That your actions, they have a direct effect on the heart. Whether that is positive, negative, or otherwise. قَبْلَ أَثَرِهِ فِي الْخَارِجِ. Before it has an effect on the outside. They're connected, directly related. What goes on the outside impacts what happens on the inside. Every situation calls for some appropriate appearance, and being concerned about your appearance, by the way, someone may be thinking, well, it's not about what's on the outside, it's about what's in here. We don't want to get too haughty and arrogant, being concerned about how we look. You know that the great Imams of the past, when they would step out into the public eye, they would take great concern how they appeared. Imam Ahmad, for example, one of the greats, when he would prepare for his lessons, he would wear the whitest of white clothes, clean and ready, because he wanted people to look up to the Muslims, to be wowed by their presentation. Shaykh al-Islam al-Harawi, the Persian scholar, the same thing. It was reported that whenever he would go out, he would wear the most expensive of clothes and ride on the most expensive animals so that people would look up and they would see dignity and honor among the Muslims. They presented themselves in a way that demanded attention and garnered respect. These were righteous imams. They weren't arrogant. They weren't boastful, but they had an intention behind that. We can find a similar thing reported by Imam Ahmad in his collection of hadith. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, لا يدخل النار من كان في قلبه مثقال حبة من إيمان. That no one that has an ounce of iman in their heart will enter to the fire. ولا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال حبة من كبر. There'll be no one with an ounce of arrogance in their heart that will enter into paradise. No one with an ounce of arrogance will enter into the paradise. So after hearing this, one of the listeners, they said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنِّي لَيُعْجِبُنِي أَن يَكُونَ ثَوْبِي غَسِيلًا. He says, I like that my clothes are washed. وَرَأْسِي دَهِينًا, that my hair is oiled, is styled. وَشِرَاكُ النَّعْلِ جَدِيدًا, that the straps of my sandals, they are new. I have new shoes on. And he mentioned some other things until ذَكَرَ عِلَاقَةَ سَوْتِهِ. He talked about the riding crop they used to carry around with them. Little riding crop. That it was a certain quality. Basically, he covered everything from head to toe. I like new stuff. I like nice stuff. I like to appear as if I'm well groomed and taken care of. I like to spend a little on myself so that my appearance reflects positive attitude. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he responded after mentioning that. The man says, he says, أَفَمِنَ الْكِبَرِ ذَاكَ, is this considered arrogance? I like to be suited and booted. Is this arrogant? The Prophet ﷺ, he says, لَا ذَاكَ جَمَالٍ, this is beauty. This is beauty. إِنَّ اللَّهَ جَمِيلٌ يُحِبُّ الْجَمَالِ. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. Allah is beautiful. وَلَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There's nothing like Allah subhanahu. Unique, unmatched, the pinnacle. But He loves beauty. He loves for His God-fearing servants that taqwa to be their inner beauty and for them to beautify themselves outwardly. Without being excessive, of course, or being wasteful. He says, Al-kibru man safiha al-haq wasdar al-nas. Arrogance is when you reject the truth or you look down on people. This is what arrogance is in Islam. As for maintaining a well-groomed appearance, this could in fact be a form of gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bestowing upon you the ability to appear well. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he saw one of his companions wearing clothes that were of lesser quality. He asked him, do you have money? He said, yes, I have money. He says, where'd you get it? He says, whatever Allah gave me from camels and sheep, from livestock, etc. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, then you should show that blessing. You should show that blessing. Inna Allah yuhibbu an yara athara ni'matihi ala ibadi. Allah likes to see the signs of His blessing on His servant.